My boyfriend let his mom insult me for years, so I ended things without explaining why. She insults me right in front of him, at dinner tables, in parking lots, inside my own apartment. I kept waiting for him to stop her, to say my name, to choose a side. Instead, he stayed quiet. And one night, standing under the flickering lights of a strip mall parking lot, I realized something that made me sick. I wasn't just dating him. I was dating his silence also. The first time his mother insulted me, my boyfriend was sitting right there, on the beige couch in her living room, remote in his hand. Volume was low, like he was afraid of the sound, but not the words. She smiled when she said it. That was the part that stuck. A soft smile, almost proud. I didn't say anything back. I waited for him to, and he didn't. I'm Emily. I was 29 when I met Ryan. Living alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the north side of Columbus, Ohio. Third floor, no elevator, thin walls, a neighbor who cooked pasta every night. I worked as a project coordinator at a small logistics company near downtown. Gray building, fluorescent lights, a desk by the window that never opened. I liked my job because it was quiet and predictable. I liked knowing what was expected of me. What I wanted, more than anything, was peace, not excitement. Not chaos, just someone who felt like home when I sat next to them in silence. Ryan felt like that at first. We met at a coffee shop in the short north, a place with mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus. He spilled his drink on my coat, apologized too much, bought me another latte. We talked until the barista wiped down tables around us. He had a calm voice. He listened. He didn't interrupt. When he asked for my number, I felt my shoulders drop. Like my body trusted him before my brain did. For the first few months, everything was easy. Weeknight dinners at my apartment, walks around the neighborhood after work, grocery shopping together at the Kroger on High Street, arguing quietly about cereal brands. He told me early on that his mom was a lot. He said it like a warning wrapped in a joke. She's just very honest, he said once, standing in my kitchen while I stirred pasta. She doesn't mean anything by it. I remember nodding. I didn't ask more. The first time I met her was 6 months in, Sunday afternoon. Her house in Dublin, Ohio. A neat little place with white siding and a lawn that looked vacuumed. I wore a navy sweater, jeans, flats. I remember checking my reflection in the car mirror before going in, smoothing my hair, telling myself to relax. She hugged Ryan first, long, tight, then she turned to me. "Oh," she said, just that, then her eyes moved, slow, from my face down to my shoes. "You look comfortable," she laughed softly after. Like we were sharing something. Ryan kissed her cheek, walked into the kitchen, didn't look back. I followed them inside, my hands cold even though it wasn't. At dinner, she asked me where I worked. When I told her, she tilted her head. "So not management," she said. Not a question. I smiled, took a sip of water. Ryan cleared his throat. She asked how long I planned to stay in my apartment. "Renting forever can be risky," she said. "But some people are fine with that." She asked if I wanted kids, if I cook often, if I was close with my parents. Each question landed a little off-center, like it wasn't meant to hit me exactly, just close enough. On the drive home, I waited. He kept his eyes on the road, one hand on the wheel, the other tapped lightly against his leg. "She's blunt," he said finally. "I hope she didn't offend you." I stared out the window at the passing streetlights. "It's fine," I said, because I didn't want it to be difficult, because I told myself it was one dinner. The comments didn't stop. They just got quieter, sharper. At a restaurant in Easton Mall, she leaned across the table and said, "Ryan's ex was very career-driven. You're more present." At Christmas, she handed me a sweater 2 sizes too big and said, "I guessed." At her birthday dinner, she asked if I'd thought about doing something more with my potential. Ryan would smile tightly, change the subject, ask for the check. In the car, he'd squeeze my hand. "You know how she is," he'd say. "She doesn't mean it like that." After a while, I stopped bringing it up. It was easier to swallow it alone. A year in, Ryan moved into my apartment. His boxes stacked by the wall for weeks, his shoes by the door. His presence filled the quiet spaces. I thought things would change, that if we were more serious, he'd protect me more. Instead, the silences got heavier. One night, after his mom left our place for the first time, I stood in the kitchen pretending to clean. She had walked around my apartment like a museum. "This is cozy," she said. Again, that word. She opened my fridge, my cabinets, commented on my mismatched mugs. When she left, Ryan hugged her at the door. "Drive safe," he said. I closed the door behind her, leaned against it. Does she not like me? I asked. He sighed, rubbed his face. She's just worried about me. I waited for more. That was it. A few months later, my dad ended up in the hospital. Nothing life-threatening, but scary enough. I drove back and forth between work and the hospital parking lot for days. Ate vending machine snacks, slept in my clothes. Ryan came with me once, met my parents, held my hand in the waiting room. His mom called that night. I could hear her voice through the phone. Be careful getting involved in family drama, she said. It can become burdensome. Ryan didn't argue. He just said, yeah, I know. I sat on the edge of the bed, phone pressed to my ear even though the call wasn't mine. That night I stared at the ceiling long after he fell asleep. Something shifted then, quietly. The breaking point didn't come as a scream, it came as a whisper. A Tuesday evening, after work. In a parking lot outside a strip mall near our apartment. His mom had joined us for dinner. Again. As she got into her car, she turned to me. You know, she said, relationships require balance. Ryan gives a lot. Make sure you're not just taking comfort. She smiled, closed her door. Ryan watched her drive away. I stood there, keys in my hand. Heart pounding so loud I thought he could hear it. He said nothing. That was when I realized something I couldn't unsee. And I knew, standing there under the buzzing parking lot lights, that whatever this was, it couldn't stay the same. But I didn't know yet how much it was going to cost me to leave. After that night in the parking lot, something changed in me. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way. It was quieter than that. I still woke up next to Ryan, still packed lunches, still asked how his day was. But I started noticing things I had trained myself not to see, like how he'd tense when his phone buzzed and her name popped up, how his voice softened when he talked to her, lower, careful, like he was stepping on glass, and how that softness never extended to me when it mattered. A week later, we went to a diner near our apartment, one of those old places with vinyl booths and chipped mugs. We slid into a corner seat. My knee touched his. I moved it away. He talked about work, about a new project, about how stressed his boss was. I nodded, stirred my coffee, watched the cream swirl. Mom is coming over Sunday, he said casually. I looked up, didn't respond right away. For what? I asked. He shrugged. Just to visit, she hasn't seen the place in a while. I thought of her opening my cabinets, her comments, her smile. I don't really want to do that, I said. He frowned, not angry, just confused. Why? I took a breath, let it out slowly. Because she's not kind to me, I said. He leaned back, crossed his arms. She doesn't hate you, Emily. I didn't say hate. She's just protective. There it was again, that word. I stared at the tabletop, a carved heart with initials scratched into it. Someone else's story, someone else's problem. Ryan, I said. She talks down to me. He sighed, looked around the diner like he hoped someone else would intervene. I don't think she realizes she's doing it. That sentence landed wrong, because realization wasn't the issue. Do you? I asked. He didn't answer right away. The waitress came by, refilled our cups, asked if we needed anything else. No, he said quickly. I watched her walk away. That's just how she communicates, he said finally. You're taking it personally. Something in my chest tightened. I am a person, I said. So yeah, it's personal. He shook his head slightly. Like I was being unreasonable. The conversation ended the way they always did, with nothing resolved, with me swallowing it. Sunday came anyway. His mom showed up with a plant and a bag of groceries I hadn't asked for. She kissed Ryan on the cheek, walked past me like I was furniture. You should really organize this space, she said, glancing around. It'll feel less temporary. Temporary. That word echoed in my head. She cooked dinner. Took over my kitchen, commented on my knives, on my pans, the way I chopped onions. I stood by the sink, dried dishes, listened. Ryan sat at the table, on his phone. At one point she laughed. I just worry, she said. Ryan has such a big heart, he gives and gives. She looked at me then. You don't want to drain that. I felt my face heat up. Excuse me? I said. She smiled. Innocent. I just mean relationships should be equal. Ryan finally looked up. Mom, he said, not firmly, not softly, just there. She waved him off. Oh, relax, I'm just talking. I waited, for him to say something else. To finish the thought, to draw a line, but he didn't. That night, after she left, I stood in the shower longer than usual. Let the water run hot. I tried to breathe through the tightness in my chest. When I came out, Ryan was in bed scrolling on his phone. She didn't mean anything, he said without looking up. I laughed, a short sound. Bitter. She never does, I said. He put the phone down. Why do you always assume the worst? I stared at him, really looked. At his relaxed posture and the way he expected this to pass. Why do you always assume I should accept it? I asked. He didn't answer. Days passed, then weeks. The comments continued, sometimes direct, sometimes wrapped in concern. At a family gathering at his aunt's house, his mom pulled me aside near the hallway. You know, she said quietly, Ryan could do very well for himself, just make sure you don't hold him back. I felt something snap then, not loud, but clean. I looked at her. Do you think that's what I'm doing? I asked. She paused, just for a second. I think you're comfortable, she said. I nodded, slowly. Ryan watched from across the room, didn't move. That night in the car, I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I can't do this anymore, I said. He gripped the steering wheel. Do what? This, I said. Being spoken to like I don't matter, and you acting like it's normal. He exhaled hard. So what, you want me to fight with my mom? I want you to stand with me. He shook his head. You're asking me to choose. The words hung between us. I realized then that he'd already chosen. A long time ago. I just hadn't wanted to see it. The next few weeks were strange, polite, careful. We moved around each other like roommates. I stayed late at work. He went to his mom's more often. One evening, I came home early. Found her sitting at our kitchen table, my kitchen table. Ryan stood by the counter, tense. We were just talking, she said. About me. I knew that without asking. She looked up. I think maybe this relationship is confusing Ryan, she said calmly. I laughed, a hollow sound. I think it's confusing you, I said. Her eyes hardened. Ryan stepped in. Emily, no, I said. My voice surprised me. Steady, clear. I've been quiet for a long time. I grabbed my coat, my keys. I'm going out, I said. Ryan followed me to the door. Don't make this a bigger deal than it is, he said. I turned, I looked at him. This is already big, I said. You just decided it wasn't worth your discomfort. I left. I walked the cold streets around our apartment, past dark windows, past parked cars, past lives that weren't mine. When I came back, his mom was gone. Ryan was sitting on the couch, head in his hands. We need to talk, he said. I stood there, didn't sit. And for the first time, I didn't know if I was still trying to fix us or if I was finally preparing to leave. The thought scared me more than anything else. And it didn't go away. We did talk, that night, but it didn't sound like the conversations I used to rehearse in my head when I couldn't sleep. There was no big confession. No apology that landed the way I needed it to. Ryan sat on the couch with his elbows on his knees, fingers laced together like he was praying for something to pass. I stood near the hallway, leaning against the wall, arms folded not out of anger but because I didn't know where else to put them. She thinks you don't like her, he said. I waited. The room was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. That's what you want to start with? I asked. He looked up confused, not defensive, just genuinely unsure why that wasn't enough. I'm saying she's hurt, he said. I nodded slowly. I don't feel safe around her, I said. Those aren't the same thing. He rubbed his palms together, avoided my eyes. She's my mom, Emily. I knew that sentence well. He'd used it like a shield for years. I know, I said. That's why it hurts. He leaned back and stared at the ceiling like he was searching for words up there. She didn't mean to make you feel small, he said. She just talks. I almost laughed, almost. She watches me, I said. She measures me. She comments on things she has no right to comment on, and you sit there. He finally looked at me. What do you want me to do? He asked. The question felt heavy. Like it had been waiting a long time to be asked. I want you to stop pretending this is neutral, I said. I want you to say something, even once. I want you to mean it. His jaw tightened. So you want me to fight with her? I want you to stand with me. He shook his head immediately. That puts me in the middle. I felt something settle in my chest then, a quiet certainty. You've always been in the middle, I said. You just chose the side that asked less of you. The words hung there. Neither of us moved. He looked tired suddenly. Older. I don't think she's going to change, he said. I know, I said. That's not new information. Then what are we even talking about? He asked. I stepped forward and sat on the armchair across from him, not next to him, across. We're talking about whether I can live like this, I said. And whether you can live watching me do it. He swallowed. I don't want to lose you. The sentence came late, too late. Then why does it feel like I already have? I asked. He didn't answer. That night, we went to bed like strangers who happened to share a lease. He turned off the lamp. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan as it clicked and whirred, counting rotations, counting breaths. I thought about all the moments I'd let pass. All the times I'd chosen quiet over honesty. In the morning, he kissed my forehead before work. A quick, habitual thing. Grabbed his keys. Text me, he said. I didn't. At work, my screen blurred. I reread the same spreadsheet until the numbers stopped meaning anything. Around noon, I walked outside and sat on the curb in the parking lot behind the building. The asphalt was warm. Cars passed on the street beyond the fence. I realized I was breathing shallowly, like my body had learned to stay small too. That evening, I packed a bag. Not everything, just enough. Ryan came home and stopped short when he saw it by the door. "What's going on?" he asked. "I'm going to stay with my sister for a few days," I said. He laughed nervously. "Why?" "I need space," I said. From feeling like I'm always asking for permission to matter." "We can talk," he said quickly. "We can fix it." I looked at him then, really looked. "I've been talking for years," I said. "You just haven't been listening." His mom called that night. I knew because his voice changed when he answered. I stood in the bedroom doorway and listened. "Yeah, I know she's upset." "No, I didn't say that." I heard her voice through the phone. Sharp, controlled. "She's overreacting," she said loudly enough for me to hear. "This is unnecessary drama." Ryan rubbed his forehead. "I'll handle it," he said. He didn't. I picked up my bag. "I'll come back for the rest later," I said. He followed me to the door. "You're really leaving?" he said. I nodded. He didn't stop me. I stayed with my sister in Cleveland, slept on her couch, drank coffee too late, let myself exist without explaining. Ryan texted, then called. "I miss you." "She's willing to try." "Can we talk?" "Willing to try." The phrase felt cold, like a negotiation I hadn't agreed to be part of. When I went back to the apartment to get my things, his mom was there, sitting at my kitchen table like she owned the chair. "This is dramatic," she said when she saw me. "You're throwing away something good." Ryan stood near the counter, silent. "I'm done explaining myself," I said quietly. She scoffed. "You'll regret this," she said. "You don't get many chances like this." I looked at Ryan. He didn't meet my eyes. "I know," I said. I packed slowly, deliberately, folded clothes, wrapped mugs, the ones she'd commented on. Ryan carried boxes to my car. The sky was gray, heavy. "I didn't think it would end like this," he said. "I did," I said, "just not this late." I hugged him once, brief, careful, then I drove away. The weeks after were quiet. Not empty, just calm. I moved into a studio, new walls, new silence. Sometimes I thought about him, but I never thought about explaining. Months later, I saw his mom in a grocery store aisle. She looked at me and paused. "You look different," she said. "I am," I said. She waited for more. I pushed my cart past her. Outside, the parking lot was warm, the sun was low. I sat in my car for a moment before starting it. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. Not because anyone apologized, not because anyone changed, but because I finally chose myself. And that was enough. If this story felt real to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps these quiet stories find the people who need them.